Hey yo, what is up guys? Thank you so much for joining in the channel. So I have two things to share with you in this video. One being on Fed Chair Jerome Powell. I'm pretty sure you guys have heard of him. He's been on the channel for a little bit. We've talked about him in some videos. And we have one on Christine Lagarde. So two things to share in this video again. Just let me know how you guys feel about the information that comes out in this video. And yeah, and if you are new and you haven't subscribed or anything like that, I would really appreciate if you guys would. And yeah, so let's get into the video. So as you guys see right here, you see a post by You're Not So Average Joe. Go give him a follow on Twitter. He uploaded this article by Cointelegraph, and this has to do with from Jerome Powell. He was in Switzerland, and it was some sort of a live event, and he was talking about digital currencies. Again, the whole thing wasn't about digital currencies, but they did happen to mention it. Your Crypto Joe Invest says in this tweet, the Federal Reserve isn't creating FedCoin anymore, but not knowing that Ripple has been in the talks with the Federal Reserve is making me think they might possibly use the Interledger protocol with XRP instead. Who knows, but it just sure is fun to think about. So it's in this clip right here, and this is a video from Mr. Rippleman. It was on an event that happened. He uploaded it. Go give him a follow on YouTube. He tagged me in a tweet to this video, so he uploaded this video on Fed Chair Jerome Powell speaking in Switzerland on digital currencies. Again, let me know how you guys feel about it. It's just a little weird of what some things they said in this video, so I'm just interested on what your guys' opinions are. But yeah, let's play this clip of Federal Jerome Powell speaking on digital currencies.
Let's say, like in Switzerland, we couldn't agree more. Digital currencies are central banks missing out on the challenges, but also the opportunities represented by digital currencies?
I don't think so, no. So I think, of course we're following very carefully the whole question of digital currencies. It's not something that we're actively considering, other central banks more than we are. And for us, it raises significant issues that we'd want to see, carefully resolved. For example, if you think about a currency that was for the United States or for, frankly, a multinational currency, it would really need to be cyber secure because, it's one thing to be able to counterfeit paper currency. It's another thing to be able to hack into a cyber currency and create with a computer however much of it you want. So the cyber issues are quite daunting. It's also not clear to us that there's really demand for this. Consumers have plenty of payment options. They're not clamoring for this. I don't want to sound like I'm ruling it out, but I think there really are. There's another question, too, which is if people are leaving their money in a cyber currency and holding it there, they're not putting it in a bank. What happens with banks is people deposit their money and banks lend the money out. So what will happen to intermediation, the whole intermediation process? What will happen if everyone's just, investing in this cyber currency? So I would say, look, we're in favor of financial innovation. We're following these things very carefully, but we don't see digital currencies from a central bank as something happening in the near term.
Thomas, how do you see it?
Well, we looked at that very carefully, and we have a similar view, probably. So we do not believe that it's a very good idea to have a central bank digital currency for the public at large. Exactly for the same reason. And we also have a very efficient payment infrastructure in Switzerland. So there's almost no advantage to make a payment with a digital currency, central bank digital currency for the public at large. What maybe a little bit a different situation. So if we have new financial market infrastructures where banks among them trade securities and you need to also create some new money that comes from central banks that make this system more efficient. So we are looking at that very carefully, but this is not yet sure. So it's not yet sure whether new forms of securities are more efficient than old ones and whether this new infrastructure actually need digital central bank currency. It's well possible that the link to the central bank may be as efficient as today and in this system. But it's a very important and very interesting question, and we're also happy to be part of this BIS Innovation Hub that looks at those issues very carefully, and I think it's very important that central banks are aware of all these innovations and about all the possibilities.
Absolutely, absolutely. What is your take on the Libra, the new Facebook currency with headquarters in Geneva?
So I want to start again by saying that we do want to see responsible financial innovation. We think that's key. We think that will enable people to be better served and drive costs out of the system. So it's important that we be open to that. I think, as I've said before about Libra, with Facebook's very large network of more than a couple billion people, a stable coin could be systemically important very quickly if it were to have wide adoption, and that's not a foregone conclusion. But because of that, we would think that Libra would need to be held to the highest standards. It could be systemically important right away, potentially, and because of that, it would have to be held to the highest regulatory and supervisory expectations. It is not obvious to see how that would happen under our current regulatory system. So it's the kind of thing where we've said this is not going to be a sprint to implementation. This is going to be a careful, thoughtful conversation about how we can do our job of protecting the public from cyber risk and all the other risks that come with something that's systemically important.
So if I take your answers all in all, you're quite optimistic. Is that true?
Well, about things in general, yes.
Yeah.
But I would say
About Libra,
you always want to be an optimist. But I would say Libra has a burden of proof to carry. Again, we don't want to just be an obstacle about this. But I think it's appropriate for us to say what we think our expectations will be, and appropriately so. They'll be very, very high for something that could have such broad adoption. And they'll have to be met. And so that's the way to think about Libra, I believe.
Yeah. Murphy was also an optimist, as we know. Okay, thank you very much. I think we should.
Okay, well there you guys go. You guys just saw that right there. So you guys see what they were talking about, how literally it was mostly focused on Libra, and they talk about why regulatory clarity was so important. And then recently we just got that Ripple drop, episode 15. Michelle Bond, I believe, I forgot her position, something about government relations, or I forgot what her certain position is, but Michelle Bond, I'm pretty sure you guys have heard of her, part of the team of Ripple. She was talking about why regulatory clarity was so important that Ripple dropped episode 15. And this video wasn't that long ago. It was like maybe a couple days ago, maybe a day or two. But you see what he's talking about. We need certain things to prove, so that way the public is fine. Again, they're not like shutting out cryptocurrency or digital assets or some sort of, global thing, but they want to make sure it's safe and secure. And that's what Ripple and x.r.p is trying to do. They're trying to, make it safe and secure. And I don't know. So let me know what you guys feel about that. But that was a pretty interesting one. Okay, so next one comes from XRP Darren. If you haven't followed him, go give him a follow on Twitter. This dude has 9,000 followers on Twitter. Go give him 10,000 or 20,000. This dude brings out the most interesting PDFs, videos, anything out there. Recently, this was Christine Lagarde on Mark Carney's Libra-like central bank cryptocurrency, and this was at the European Parliament. This was like a day or two ago as well. Again, it was like a pretty long, what do you call it? It was a pretty long, stream, webinar sort of thing. But he cut it down to about like 2 minutes of a question someone had on a certain statement that Mark Carney made on the a central bank cryptocurrency, and Christine Lagarde responded to it, and I definitely think it's something to check out as well. So let's get into the video. Oh, and by the way, go give him a follow on YouTube as well. So yeah.
An issue. Cryptocurrencies, you said it's not a threat to the currency system or the financial stability, but I would like a very specific comment on what the governor of the Bank of England, Mark Carney, said or proposed this summer. So he launched the idea of a digital currency promoted by a network of central banks to challenge the hegemony of the dollar and replace it as the international reference. So I would like to hear a comment on your side on what could be the impact and what kind of response the ECB could give. Thank you.
On your first question concerning the green bonds, I believe that the EIB is already a significant issuer of green bonds, and my understanding is that the ECB on the secondary market is also purchasing some of those products, and the threshold to which it can subscribe to those green bonds is not the 33% that applies to other bonds issuance, but it's 50%. So it allows it to actually oversubscribe relative to other subscription of bonds, and I think that it's good. I was also very pleased to see that Ursula von der Leyen has actually actively promoted a Green Deal, whether it's a new Green Deal or Green Deal, but she certainly is of the view that those issues are of critical importance, and I share that concern. On the cryptocurrency and the proposal articulated by Mark Carney, I was also very interested and intrigued by his proposal. And given the constant development that we have, given the, I mean, in a nutshell, for those who did not have time to read the Mark Carney speech, he essentially proposes that some of the key central banks actually form a venture, and that they explore together the formation of a joint central bank currencies. In other words, in a way, applying the principles that are on the mind of the Libra conceptors, having an instrument that is convertible into various sovereign currency. Mark Carney is proposing something that is similar in nature, but issued by the central banks themselves, which, you know, has some really interesting ramifications. So I hope we can explore it, and you know, I cannot prejudge on what the Governing Council of the ECB view will be, but I for myself would certainly like to participate in this exploring of that new concept.
Thank you. Now we have Eniko Guri.
Well, there you guys go. You guys just saw that clip. Sorry, the audio was low on that one, but you guys see where I'm going with. So two very interesting clips, one from Jerome Powell and one on Christine Lagarde, talking about some very similar things on their take is, especially one with a pretty big one on Christine Lagarde on Mark Carney's statement on, you know, something like a currency or something like a like central bank cryptocurrency. So very interesting things, and yeah, so let me know what you guys feel about that. Thank you so much for joining the channel, and that's it, and I hope you guys have an amazing day, and peace.